Hi everyone, Tatiana from the Greenbird's Bead Kingdom is here, and today we're going to make a very nice, beautiful and stylish bracelet using the Miyuki Tila beads and findings made in Greece. These are called Cymbals, and these findings are made specifically to work with Japanese seed beads named Tila. They look like this. The bracelet is going to be very nice. See, I've created this as an example. So you will need the Miyuki Tila beads, the cymbal findings for Tila beads, beading needles, beading thread, and crystals in size SS12. These crystals look like this. These are glue-in crystals. So grab all your supplies at your local bead store and come back, we'll get started. The first thing I'm going to do is to glue the crystals into the cymbal findings. I'm doing this like this. I'm going to take a glue. This glue is made specifically for crystals. And I'm going to put a little bead amount on the paper of it. Then with my toothpick I'm going to take a tiny bit of this glue and send this to the findings like this here. Then take your crystal, you can use tweezers or chain nose pliers, and put the crystal in its position to the cymbal finding like this. Okay, perfect. I did this with one. You need to repeat this 4 more times, so we'll need to have total of 5 findings with crystals. We need to wait a couple of seconds and we'll continue our beading process. The fire line beading thread, the one I'm showing you here, is the best option to work with Tila beads because it has sharp edges at its holes and they can cut your thread. So if you're going to use with normal beading thread, like I'm going to do this, I'm going to take my favorite Toho 1G thread for this project. I don't want to work with fire line. You need to be extra cautious with this and be prepared. There is a chance that it will cut off your thread. So we will make just more extra passes, extra thread passes through the holes to make sure that everything is secure. If you're okay to work with fire line, just take this thread. I like this thread, but I don't like it has only 2 color options. It's only black or white, and I need gray. I don't want to be my thread visible on my beadwork because I'm going to use the beading method where the thread shows up at the edges of my bracelet. So this is why I'm going to use the colored nylon beading thread. I'm using the Toho 1G thread. This is one of my favorite beading threads. You can also use any other different threads like KO, Sono thread, or maybe Salamit. Choose everything you prefer. This is up to you totally. And I'm going to take the longest thread possible. Really the longest, because I don't like to add thread during I'm doing my beadwork, so I'm always taking the longest thread possible, and I'm not cutting it off the spool. I'm leaving it on the spool because later when I use this thread I will come here and I will unspool more and I will thread this to the needle and I will have another long tail so I can add more beads from the other side. I hope you know what I mean. So, okay, time to thread the needle. Let's string 3 Tila beads. 1 gray, then 1 white, and another gray. Take them with your fingers and send them back down to your thread to the very end, here where the spool is. I'm putting my beadwork this way. My thread comes through all bottom holes, and now I'm going to pass through the top hole with my needle. See these Tila beads? They have 2 holes. One comes from the bottom and one comes at the top. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to pass through all 3 top holes here. Pull your thread now and come back here. Let's pass through all bottom holes of Tila beads. Okay, pull a little bit and now pass through all top holes of all 3 beads. We are doing this to make our beading more secure and tight. Now let's flip our beadwork like this. Both my threads are coming from the right sides of the holes. This bottom thread, it comes to the spool, and this top thread, I'm doing my beadwork with this. String on 1 gray Tila bead and now pass through this gray bead See, like I'm doing right here. So we're going to the opposite direction through this top hole of this gray Tila bead from the previous row. And this bead comes to its perfect position. Now we are going to pass through the bottom hole of it here. Okay, we're passing through it. And let's string white bead now. Whites are always in the middle, so always when we come to the middle, we are going to string white. And now we are passing with our needle here through the top hole of the white bead of the previous row, like this. Let's put the bead in its position. Let's pass through it hole once again, like this. Pull your thread. Always hold your beadwork with your fingers and always keep attention to thread tension and pull your thread quite tight, but not too tight. Okay, now we're stringing another Tila bead, gray this time, and let's do the same. We're coming through this top hole of the gray bead of the previous row, like this. Okay, we're passing through it. Put the bead in its position, and again come through this bottom hole of this newly added gray bead, like this. So we're kind of making a loop here, connecting two beads of two rows together. Now I'm going to flip my beadwork at this point, and then I come through all three top holes of the second row, just to make the beading more nice, more tight. So I'm pulling my thread here. Now it's time to add another row, but see what we have here. One bead has the thread and the other bead does not have this thread. So I'm going to make it look consistent. So I'm going to make this thread passes through all Tila beads at the edges of my bracelet. And now I'm going to pass through all three top holes, like this. Okay, I'm coming through the top holes. This helps to make our bracelet more stable. Plus, you know, the Tila beads, they have very sharp edges, so these multiple thread passes, they help us to protect our beadwork. Okay, let's start another row the same way we did this before. String on one gray Tila bead and pass here through the top hole of the gray bead of the previous row and put it in its position. Now pass through bottom hole of this bead. Now string white Tila bead and come back through this top hole of this white Tila bead from the previous row, like this. Put the bead in its position. Okay, now pass through this bottom hole once again, so we are ready to add another one. Always pull your thread tight, but not too tight, just the perfect tension. Again, string another gray bead and come through this top hole of the gray bead of the previous row, here. Place the bead in its position and then come through this bottom hole once again. Now we're going to pass through all these top holes. Pull the thread and now pass through all three bottom holes. Okay, did that. And now again, pass through all three top holes. Okay, we are ready to add a new row. Actually, now we are going to repeat the same pattern. String one gray bead, come through this top hole of the gray bead of the previous row. Okay, like this. And again through this bottom hole once again. And this is where I want to add my cymbal finding with glued in crystal. So we're going to pass through this bottom hole of it. Now we're coming through this top hole of this white Tila bead from the previous row. Okay, put this finding in its position, pull the thread and come through this bottom hole once again, like this. Okay, and then continue to bead the same way we did this before. String one gray bead, come here through this top hole, put this bead in its position and pass through its bottom hole once again. See what we have at this point. Okay, doing the same thing again. We are passing through all three top holes of all three beads here. Okay, pull your thread and now come through all three bottom holes of these beads, like this, and again through all three top holes. Okay, now we are ready for a new row. If you beaded with me to this point, I think you should be crystal clear about what we are going to do next. String one gray bead now and attach it to our beadwork just the same way we did this before. So we continue and continue and continue to do this very same thing. Sometimes we add these cymbal findings with glue and crystals. Sometimes we make rows just with Tila beads, so it's totally up to you where you want to add them. Now let's take a look at what I've created. I made this long bracelet and I'm having this cymbal findings every fourth row. This is the perfect length to come around my wrist, leaving approximately 1 inch for a clasp finding and the clasp itself. So I left this 1 inch space just for this purpose. Okay, now we are ready to attach a clasp. I will show you how to do that. See how this clasp finding looks like. It looks like 2 Tila beads connected with the connector. So 2 beads of the new row are already here. See how thread comes through this hole at the top. Let's insert the middle Tila bead here. It's white because we have whites in the middle. See, I've took the bead and added this to the clasp finding here. And now I'm going to pass through all 3 bottom holes of this finding plus through the bottom hole of the Tila bead I've just added. And now we're going to attach this clasp finding. I'm going to pass only through these gray beads. And now we're going to pass through bottom hole of this newly added white bead here. Okay, see, I'm coming through this hole. And now I'm going to pass through this top hole of this white Tila bead from the previous row, and then I'm going to pass through this gray bead also. I'm going through all 3 beads now, and then I'm going to add another connection between these 2 rows. So I'm going to pass through this top hole of this bead now, and now I'm going to connect these rows once again. So this is why I'm passing through this bottom hole of white bead and then the following hole of the findings. Okay, I'm pulling this thread, and actually there are no general rules how we make all these passes, so it's totally up to you. You can do this or you can do that. I'm going to pass through all 3 top holes of this added finding plus added Tila bead in the middle. Okay, now I'm pulling the thread and again through all 3 bottom holes like this. So we're just sewing this clasp to our beading. Do this several times so the connection is secure, because this is the metal findings and the Tila holes, they are really sharp. So I need guarantees, so I'm doing this several times. And now it's time to secure the thread. I'm going to pass through the wrong side of my beadwork. Maybe I will fail with my knot, so it won't be visible from the right side of my beadwork. Now pass with your needle under the thread between these 2 beads, and then pass with your needle through this loop. Pull your thread and place this knot between the beads so it won't be visible now. And now I'm going to make a couple of more knots just to make it more secure. Okay, I'm going below the thread here, and then make a loop and pass through it and tighten the knot. Okay, make a couple of these knots now, and then what I'm going to do is pass through all holes once again, coming to the opposite direction. I'm going to do this because, well, I have a lot of thread left from my beadwork, plus I'm going to make it extra more secure. By multiple thread passes, I'm going to create more stable structure. Plus, remember, sharp bead holes, they are really sharp. So with this extra thread added, I'm going to protect my beadwork from being cut. So I'm just zigzagging back through all holes of all beads just to make it more secure and more stable. Okay, I'm here almost the end. But now I'm going to leave this tail. I'm not going to secure it yet. Maybe I will need it in the future. Okay, now I have my spool waiting for me here, so I'm going to add a little more thread, something like 10 to 15 inches. And now I'm going to cut it off the spool. Okay, now we're going to insert this thread into the needle, the one that has been waiting for us from the very beginning. And now we're going to attach the clasp from this side. Okay, I'm going to take my finding and now I'm going to put a Tila bead in the middle. Here I'm going to use white. Now bring your beadwork here. We are going to attach this clasp part to our bracelet like this. We are going to pass through all 3 bottom holes. Okay, pull your thread. Now I'm going to show you closer. This is how it looks like at this point. And pass back through this 1 top hole of this bead from the previous row. We're passing through only 1 because I'm going to attach extra thread between all these beads. We're going to pass through this bottom hole of this white Tila bead now. And then I come here back through this top hole of this gray bead now. See, I haven't pulled my thread, so you can perfectly see what's going on here. Kind of zigzagging while attaching the clasp finding. Okay, now I'm pulling my thread, and again through all 3 bottom holes of this final row. Then I'm going to pass through all top holes. Do this several times, make several passes just to make it more secure connection. Pull your thread tight, but not too tight. Remember, Tila beads, they do really have sharp edges. Okay, I'm going to add another connection between my finding and my bracelet, so one more pass will help me to feel stable and secure. And now I'm going to bring this thread here back, and now I'm going to flip my beadwork to the wrong side, and I'm going to add a couple knots just to secure my thread. The same way we did this before. Go under your thread, then bring your needle through this loop that is going to happen. Hide it between the beads now. I'm going to bring this needle closer to the one that we've left abandoned before, making them really stay close together. So I'm going to put the thread I've abandoned before to the needle, so I'm going to work with this to coming closer to the other thread. Okay, now they are close together. One comes from the left and the other comes from the right. This is perfect. So I can now tie 2 ordinary knots with them just to secure these threads. So I'm tying a simple knot here, and I'm going to add another one on top of this, then hide this knot between the beads. Nothing special, that's just an ordinary knot. Okay, now I'm going to make a couple of turns here and there. Okay, I'll pass here to the bottom, then here, now somewhere here and there, and now I'm going to cut it off. And the very same thing I'm going to do with my second needle. Okay, I'm cutting off the second thread now, and this is what we have at this point. Look at this gorgeous beauty. This is how it looks at the right side, and this is how it looks at the wrong side. But actually I believe there's no right or wrong side. It looks perfect from any point of view. So this is a double-sided bracelet. One side has these nice, gorgeous, colorful accents. You can wear it this side up, and you can also wear it this side up, so it looks like more like calm down and relaxed type of bracelet. Nothing but gray and white. So we're almost finished. Now it's time to add a clasp. I will show you how to do this. Grab your lobster clasp. I'm going to use my favorite lobster clasps with a chain attachment. I'm also going to use my chain nose pliers. I'll take 2 of these and jump rings, a couple of them. So what I'm going to do now is open my jump ring with the pliers. I'm taking this ring with one tool like this, and I'm opening it with the other tool like this. Then I attach it to the clasp and to the bracelet and close it. Okay, perfect. So we attached the clasp from one end, and now it is time to attach this chain here. I'm going to take another jump ring and open it. Then I put a chain here like this, and then this clasp finding, connector finding, and then I close my jump ring. Okay, now the bracelet is ready. I cannot wait to try this on because I like it. Oh my god, I like it. I really like it. And it's the perfect size for me. It looks like it was made specifically for me. Oh my god, perfect, just perfect. Look at this beauty. Okay, that's it. Now it's your turn. Make one for yourself or the ones you really love. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel because there are going to be more tutorials in the future, and leave us something in comments, maybe suggestion for a future tutorial, or maybe just thank you, anything you would like. So thanks for watching and see you soon. Bye!